Hey there, hey there. Thanks for joining us for another Mornings with Mayesh. Today, Amy Balsters of the Floral Coach is joining me to chat about our recently launched Mayesh by the Floral Coach design tour. So excited. Amy is going to be diving into the curriculum, sharing why learning proper spiral bouquet mechanics, say that 3 times fast, and color theory are critical, and the value that is provided with each included component of our in-person workshop. This is so very exciting because it has been 3 long years, guys, since we've hosted a workshop. And we've had so many people ask about when we're going to start up our live education again. And so now we finally have our answer. The answer is officially we kick off on March 30th with hitting up Cleveland, Ohio first. Shout out to my hometown, along with 11 other dates across the country. So a total of 12 cities, guys. Super excited. If you want more information, if you haven't heard about this yet, I'm going to go ahead and pop that bad boy link there in the comments. And speaking of the comments, if you guys have any questions while we're chatting, for Amy, for me, go ahead and put those in the comment section so I can see those. I'll get to them as time permits. Also, just wanted to remind everyone, because it's been a couple of months since I've been live, that this we're live on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So, hey, everyone. But the replay will be available up on our blog along with a podcast as well. So that way you can listen to us if you don't want to watch. No big deal. I know Amy has some pretty flowers with her, so you might want to watch the video replay for those podcasters who are listening. But either way, I think we should be good. I just wanted to go on to my Instagram really quick. Yeah, we're live there. Everything is good. Always want to just double check. Before I bring Amy on, I also wanted to let you guys know Mayesh Twin Cities opened yesterday officially. Super, super excited about that, guys. We are in Minnesota, y'all. So if you're in the area or if you have flower friends that are in the area, make sure you let them know. You can find the location info on our website, and on Google, and we're on Instagram, and we're on Facebook. We're on all the places. So definitely come and visit us if you're in the area. It's so exciting. I actually heard that people were like crying happy tears when they like walked into the branch. So super, super special. Also, I want to know, have you made your March Madness bracket yet? And no, I'm not talking about the basketball kind. I'm talking about the flower kind. Guys, you have until the 10th to make your Mayish March Madness flower bracket. Putting the link there. You have until the 10th of, so the end of this week. The 10th is Friday, I believe. And get those brackets in. We're going to have a winner. It's a lot of fun. You're just voting for the flower you think sells more than another. So we pit all the flowers together, and we try to make it super difficult and fun. So have fun with us, and make your flower bracket by the 10th. Last but not least, I wanted to make sure you guys know about our new flower event calendar. I feel like a lot of the events are happening in the industry, so that way you guys know what's going on. You have a place to go. Also, if you have any type of event that you want to share that is geared towards the industry, not end consumers, there's a little button that you can click and you fill out the form, and you will be put on our event calendar for all to see. So workshops, events, webinars, that type of thing. Super exciting. So be sure to check that out. All right. So now I am going to bring on Amy, and we're going to get started. Hey there.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. I guess it's good afternoon.
It is. Well,
on the East Coast.
Yeah, it's good afternoon for the East Coast. Good morning for the West Coast, thankfully, because, afternoon with Mayish, it doesn't really.
Doesn't have the same thing.
It doesn't. Yes, yes. So, Amy, welcome. It's been a bit since you've been on Mornings with Mayish, but you've been here a whole bunch of times, so welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
And just in case people don't know who you are, which I hope everyone does by now, but you never know. So if we have some newbies watching or listening, who may not know who you are, can you please introduce yourself and share a bit about your flower story?
Yes. So, thanks for joining us this morning on Mornings with Mayesh. I am Amy Balsters, and my business is called The Floral Coach. I have been a florist for 21 years now, 22, I think. Oh my gosh, 22.
Woohoo.
And I grew up in Southern California, and I started my floral journey really at a very young age. That's a whole other call that we've had, with a real passion and love for all things that grow. I found that nature was a very healing place as a young child, and I really think there was something cultivated very young, with just a magnetism for nature, and specifically flowers, plants, even grass, just all of it. I just really craved touching it, being with it, being next to it. And I think it cultivated a real passion and love for combining some artistic qualities that I had just had, I think that I was just kind of born with, along with this real love and connection to nature. And that sort of culminated in, seeking a career in floristry. And I went to college in Southern California. That was a 2-year floral design shop management program at Golden West, my alma mater, which sadly I think is shutting down now, but for many years has trained florists all over, and just had an incredible foundation that was laid over those 2 years. Started working in bucket shops and different types of retail stores all around Southern California, but really found my home and passion in special event design. I think I loved the chaos of it. I loved the big splash, and that it was all over at the end and you got to walk away from it. So I sort of found my footing in the special events world, but I eventually opened my own business, and hi Charity, my own business when I was living in New Mexico. I moved there and had worked and dabbled in retail, but I was ready to kind of jump off onto my own 2 feet, and really had to learn the ropes of running a business. Being a professional freelancer, being a designer is one thing, and running a profitable business is a whole other thing. And so I had to sort of evolve as a designer over the years, developing new skill sets, understanding design through different lenses. And eventually, about 5 years ago, found a whole second passion in teaching, and just started helping designers solve some problems with their work. And it just really evolved into a very full-time job. And I'm, thinking about my team, the size of my team now compared to the size of my team when I had a floral business. I have twice as many people that are helping me get good floral education out, versus even just the wedding business I was running. So it's really exploded in the last 5 years. Mayesh has been an incredible support to me. I've been a Mayesh customer basically all my career. Lived in a place where there wasn't a lot of flowers, so I would ship all my stuff in pretty much from LA. I would try to gather up some local stuff, but they have consistently salvaged weddings for me, helped me set myself apart in a challenging market. Eventually came back to LA, got to shop at the LA Mayesh market, my home market right by the airport, and just continued to freelance and do work there in LA as well. And then we've landed here in Virginia. So my husband's a military officer. We move every couple of years, and the business has just continued to grow. And we have online courses. I teach hands-on workshops. And obviously this year we've partnered with Mayesh to launch a national design tour. So we'll get into all the details about that, which is what I'm excited to mostly chat about today. But that's a little bit of my long story. But lots of different moving pieces, and excited to sort of bring a lot of that to the workshop this year, and a lot of that expertise, and just fine tune it into really impactful information and education for working florists. So yeah, I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, me too. Before we get into it, just a special shout out to Anthea from Trinidad and Tobago. We also have Dragonfly Floral Design from Sydney, Australia. And then, everyone else that's watching from the States. Hello, hello, Kathy, Charity. We have so many others. Thanks for joining us, guys. And again, as we are progressing. If you have any questions, go ahead and pop them into the comments for us. Okay, so let's dig into that workshop. So first up, Amy, can you share about the format of our day-long event?
Yes. So you sort of already covered a little bit about where we're headed, and I want to back up for just a moment and explain a little bit about why we're doing this, but also, if that's okay with you,
Of course.
why we're doing this, but also how we're doing this, because I think there's important pieces here in both. There's so many workshops. There's an abundance of floral education out there. And I want to talk about why we're choosing to do it this way and why we've chosen this format. So having taught all around the country in different shops, different stages, different groups, do private workshops or stage presentations, the consistent thing that I experienced over the last several years is that designers most often are struggling with either mechanics. I see a lot of color theory questions, and I also see a lot of bouquet challenges in terms of loose, airy garden style. How do you do this efficiently? How do you do this profitably? How do you be consistent with your results every time? And as I traveled around and saw this as a huge pain point, I started to develop some education around this to really fine tune the language around the vocabulary around how to do this step by step. There's a lot of different ways to make bouquets, but I wanted to sort of streamline this, whether someone was year 1 or year 30, they could make loose, airy, professional bouquets every time. And so I started to fine tune my language, my process, and really worked with designers to develop my own sort of process that has really affected so many designers over the last several years. It culminated into a course called Bouquet Bootcamp, which was a hands-on workshop and an online course. So I've been traveling teaching Bouquet Bootcamp for several years. When we decided to launch with Mayesh, we set Bouquet Bootcamp aside to really focus our efforts on this design tour. And what I did is took basically the fundamentals of that hands-on workshop and brought them into a half a day. So we know florists are busy. Some of them are towards the end of the week. We wanted florists to be able to still, work in their shop or maybe process flowers for an event that weekend, and then join us at 11:30 or 12 to have a really solid, meaty day of education in the late afternoon into the evening. So we structured even the timing to hopefully really appeal to working florists that need to get in and get some training. So in terms of the content, I'm just going to kind of go through the agenda, if that's okay with you.
Go for it.
God knows how much I talk, so she's got to put the kibosh on me if I start rambling off into a train over here. So what we're doing is when a student purchases a ticket to the Mayesh Design Tour, we have essentially curated a customized mini course online out of my signature Bouquet Bootcamp course that's like 6 hours long. So we've taken some really specific topics, put them in a separate mini course that's only going to be available to Mayesh Design Tour students. So you get immediate access to this content. It's about little over 2 hours. I think it's roughly 2.5 hours. There's design principles included, my entire color theory module, which is 4 modules long, where I break down a flower and show how to pull a color story together, create a bouquet from that color story. Spiral technique is in there, and some care and handling. So this mini course is really robust. But what we wanted to do is give you the information ahead of time to say, start practicing this, start learning the fundamentals. Even if you're a seasoned florist, sometimes we kind of get into a rut. Our design work can feel uninspiring. It can often look the same. And the purpose of this is to really push you out of a comfort zone, to say, let's go back to the fundamentals. In order to move forward, let's go back and explore how yellow and purple work together, how we fundamentally make a bouquet. Now we're going to flip that on its head and show you how to stretch that and change it and move things around. So I'm such a firm believer that the fundamentals are critical to helping us build forward. And that's really what this mini course is about. Get the information, start to practice it, chew on it. And then when you come in person, the information that we're covering in the hands-on is really paralleling what you learn in the online course. And I hope specifically that it will serve you 10 times better instead of just rolling out cold into a hands-on and being like, here you go, here's all this information, we're kind of dumping this into your brain, that this pre-work is like a primer, getting you ready to really focus on the application of what we're trying to teach. So you're going to be practicing building an implied line in your bouquet, focusing on open form, tackling that spiral quickly and beautifully every time, how to pull more complex color palettes, and on and on and on. So the content really parallels, again, what we're doing hands-on. And I think this kind of 1-2 punch is going to really allow designers to maximize their time away from their businesses to learn and grasp some really important things as we develop our design skills. So the day is going to start with David Dolson, which I would love for you to share about David, because you obviously know him far more than I, and you can talk a little bit about what David's doing before we jump into design.
Yeah, so, we all love David. I feel like all of his videos go really, really well. But he's just a really cool guy to meet in person because honestly, he's a walking, talking flower encyclopedia. If there is something to know about floral design history, flowers themselves, how they're grown, the Latin names versus the common names, care and handling, he is the guy. So we're really excited to be able to have him at every one of our workshops. He has agreed to be able to go and do a session with you guys. It won't be too long. We know people want to get into like the nitty gritty with Amy, but to go over the really great care and handling tips that he has. He can talk about specific flowers, answer any questions that you guys might have, and just kind of go over. There's going to be like this amazing flower bar there that Amy's going to be working with each of our branches to create, so he can kind of go into detail and into depth with what you're seeing and kind of how to take care of some of these flowers that you might not get a chance to work with on an everyday basis. So just really excited to have David there.
Yeah, he's incredible. Huge wealth of knowledge. And we're really starting with a sort of mini presentation of care and handling to talk about, again, the foundations, right? Flowers are expensive, and I find that care and handling chats are always so needed of saying, what do I do if this dies? And how do you best take care of this? And so he's going to be there the whole afternoon to answer questions. We're going to have a happy hour at the end that we can mingle and chat. But this mini presentation he's going to give is really just going to be focused on making sure that you're protecting your investment, which is your floral product. When you buy it, how do you keep it alive? How do you ensure that it is really going to do its job for you in producing what you need it to do? So that's a key part of starting. We're going to jump right into color theory. And I have a pretty robust color lesson. We're all going to have a color wheel. We're going to have some color chats. So I have multiple hands-on color exercises that I've created and have used with students now for a couple of years that really helps open up the eyes around how to look at color differently in terms of analyzing what it is that we're actually looking at. We're going to talk about how to identify what color something actually is, its temperature, is it warm or cool, how these things interact with each other, the saturation. If you're pulling a really orangey yellow ranunculus like this, what do you do? How do you make sure that there's enough of that in the palette without it throwing, right? We're going to talk a little bit about ratio, how much of something needs to be put in there. And then when we build our hand-tied bouquets, we're going to be talking about placement. So it's not just about pulling a beautiful palette, but how do you create an impactful bouquet or arrangement using color in a really effective way? So these are sort of the topics that I love talking about, and I think designers really need and are hungry for is to stretch themselves, to say, how do I stand out in my market? How do I be a more efficient designer and profitable designer? Well, I can develop my skills by better technique, better understanding of what it is that I'm looking at and working with, And really, all this comes back to a simple question, right? How do we solve the design problem that we have? And if we have more tools in our toolbox to solve these design problems, then we're going to be more successful in the work that we have with flowers. So this is really what the tour is about, is to drill down, and Pat Dawson, the CEO of Mayesh himself, said very plainly, I want to bring affordable, accessible floral education back to florists. And so through the generosity of Mayesh really allowing this tour to happen, we're able to bring that to so many cities around the country. And I see a question popping up about Wisconsin. So we did our best to work with individual branches, and Yvonne can talk more about this, but there's only so many I can do personally. I have other teaching commitments this year. I have a very, very intense travel schedule, so I can't do 30, 40, 50 of these a year. This is what we're able to do. And also to work with the branches that are able to host these. So we did our best to spread them throughout the different Mayesh locations. We are only visiting Mayesh locations. So if you're interested in, a city or state that doesn't have one, we hope you'll jump in your car. We hope you'll take a short flight to see us, because Mayeshes really are spread out all around the country, from the East Coast to the West Coast to the middle of the country. There's a spot for you somewhere. And I hope that you're able to make the effort to come join us. So after we deep dive into color theory, we're going to do, like I mentioned, some hands-on exercises using the color bar that we're curating, which is a beautiful sort of rainbow colored floral bar full of gorgeous, incredible Mayesh product. You all are, I assume, Mayesh customers, so you know the kinds of product they carry. Beautiful novelty flowers. It is a phenomenal season right now for flowers. So I'm very excited about Cleveland. We have 3 seats left. If you are chomping at the bit to come join us, you don't want to miss this season. There's sweet peas and fritillarias. It's the best season, I think, for flowers. So I am very antsy to get my hands into their cooler and get into their product. So after that, we are going to dive into hand-tied bouquet techniques. And this is really my specialty. And I'm so excited to break this down step by step for students. We're going to do some practicing, and then we're going to jump into a beautiful hand-tied bouquet. And there is a step-by-step process to this. We're not, you're going to be guided through this really one step at a time. If you know how to make spiral bouquets, there is still so much for you in this class. And the reason why is we're going to really talk about building layers and airiness and creating open form styling to bouquets, not just throw a stem in, here's how to make a round tidy or kind of an oval shape, but we're going to really focus on creating those forms that customers want. This can also start as a fundamental vase arrangement, right? A quick spiral hand tie can easily be dropped into a vessel and to start a beautiful arrangement. So this is a critical fundamental thing that florists need to know how to do. The amount of time it's going to save you, the amount of hand-holding, excessive hand-holding, overstuffing, overgreening, these little hacks and things, you just don't need them. There's a very streamlined way to do this, and we're going to kind of cut the fat, get you really efficient, and get you producing really quickly. And that's really important to me, is that florists are able to do their work quickly and efficiently. There's a time and a place for meditative work and for exploring your creativity, and I do all of those things. But the teaching and the training that I focus on is getting florists pushed out of that sort of overthinking place and getting a result quicker so they can go back home and be with their families. I spent way too many late nights in my garage, tearful, overworking, overstuffing arrangements, perfectionistic, just really losing money for way too long. And I have a real heart and passion to see florists be successful, do beautiful work, but do it really quickly and efficiently. And that's my hope. That's money back in your pocket, time back in your pocket, and also the ability to train other people. If you desire to scale your business, you're bringing on freelancers this year. We know there's a freelance shortage. You're going to need to train people on your team to do some of these fundamentals. I want to give you the language and the process to turn around and say, okay, newbie, come here. Let's get you trained up on making some basic bridles, right? Or some basic things that you need to know about care and handling. So these things are critical for florists to know. And that's what we're focusing on. We're focusing on some critical things. There's so many beautiful workshops out there to choose from, but this is really focused on some core fundamentals and then building on that. So if that feels like it's in alignment for you, this is a good workshop for you. If you need a retreat and a respite and you want to play, you're going to have fun too. It's not that we're like, we're driving you. We're going to have a blast. And at the end of the workshop, I didn't mention this yet, there is an entire hour devoted to basically open studio time. So after we get through the color theory lesson, after we get through the hand-tied bouquet, there's going to be an hour devoted while the photographer is taking pictures of people's work, all of the designers' work. This open flower bar is going to be yours to jump into, which is a huge treat because typically, you may have a recipe or there's some rules around that, and it's open like studio time for you to get in there. So students are going to be able to build more color palettes. They're going to be able to take the lessons they've learned and say, I want to experiment pulling whites and burgundies. I want to experiment pulling blues and peaches, right? And they can pull those flowers and play with ratios and kind of work what they just learned to really get some hands-on practice. This experience I really want to mimic, like being in a Mayesh cooler or being in a cooler of flowers or even a field, right? If you're a grower or a flower farmer, and to be able to look at your product and say, what do I need to choose to make this thing I want to make, right? How do you do that more efficiently? So having this big flower bar is going to helpfully mimic that experience. Rarely we get to go in and just push and pull and rip bunches apart. And so this is going to be a huge treat for those of you who, don't have the oodles of money just to go crazy in a Mayesh cooler whenever you want. So we're going to have this gorgeous bar set up for you to dig in. You can also make another bouquet if you want to practice little speed drills. You want to make something in a different color palette from the recipe we're going to give you. You're going to have the time to do that. So this is really structured to give you some concrete information and then to follow up with giving you some freedom to practice. And then we're going to end with cocktails, of course, with a Mayesh sponsored happy hour. We'll be taking care of lunch when you first get there. So you'll arrive around 11:30, have lunch, and that way you're fed and hydrated and coffeeed and all the things. And then we'll have some snacks and things throughout the day. So we're going to be taking care of you. All of your tools are going to be supplied. We've got your tape and your tool, your knife and your clippers and all of that, your color wheel, notepads, all of that is taken care of. We just want you to show up and learn and be able to go back a better designer and better able to connect some dots for your team or for yourself with your work with flowers. So this is sort of the gist. That's a lot. I've talked a lot and fire hosed all of you, but there's a lot we're covering and a lot we're packing in, and I want to make sure that you really are able to communicate the value of what you're getting. So yeah, I'd love to answer any questions or pass the mic to you.
Yeah. No, I was just rearranging all my questions I had for you. I was like, she's got that. It's perfect. But I want to reiterate so people understand. So for the hands-on piece of it, you're going to go step by step. The students are going to be using a recipe.
Yeah.
They're going to have their own flowers at each of their workstations.
Yes.
So they're creating something with you step by step.
Yes.
And then, so that's one bouquet. And then they're going to be able to create something else, a bouquet or whatnot, if they want. So they'll get to create 2 designs in total.
Correct.
Yeah. Which I think that in itself is really amazing too, for the amount of time that we're going to be together.
Yes. It's a lot to pack in. So we got a nice schedule lined up.
Yes, I know. And just to reiterate too, in case anyone has just come in, when you guys first RSVP and get your seat, you're going to get access to an online mini course. And so that part's really, really exciting. We were really excited about that just because we felt like it really gives you a ton of value for the workshop. And we know workshops are expensive, but they're expensive to put together and put on, you know? So so that's, we get that, but we feel like the mini course itself, we feel like just kind of it pays for itself already as soon as you get your seat. And so then you're doing the two designs, the color theory, and it's not just the color theory too, just to reiterate, it's not just them like just kind of sitting there and like, you know, listening to you talk the whole time, right? They're going to be able to kind of interact with the color and kind of really get that, again, hands on with the
Yep.
color theory, which sounds weird to say because you would think it's just like a lecture piece, but it's not.
Yeah.
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 Yes.
Yeah. All of
Okay.
that is
Good. So I just want to make sure everyone is clear on all of that because it is a lot of information. And again, we have all of this too up on the website. I've shared the link a couple of times. But if you guys ever have any questions, make sure that you reach out and we'll be happy to help. You did briefly mention that there is going to be a photographer there. So can you talk a little bit about that and what the students can expect with the photographer?
Yes. So we want to make sure that you are getting professional imagery of your finished work. We know how valuable content is, updated photos. So we do ask that you come to the workshop ready to get a new fresh headshot. Of course, this is all optional. If you don't want to participate, nobody's required, but it's an opportunity to have yourself and your work professionally shot with a professional photographer to use as a headshot using your social and so forth. And I have seen this for years. A lot of my past Bouquet Bootcamp students often use their bouquet and their headshot as their Instagram photo, as a photo on their main website under their About Me section. So we really want you to be able to have a handful of images of your work in a really beautiful, just very simple, clean backdrop with nice lighting. And every location will have one of those, a photographer available. So the photographer will basically line students up as your work is finished. You'll have a name tag so they're able to track every student. They'll deliver a finished gallery, typically several weeks after the workshop or whatever their agreed timeline is. And then you'll have access to use these photos for whatever marketing and however you best see fit for yourself and your business. So it's an amazing perk of having this done. It's, we're not focusing on big styled shoots or, all these things. This is a personal, intimate kind of shot of you and something gorgeous that you've made. And my hope in what I've seen consistently is that by having students work off of a recipe where we do this bouquet together, you're going to start with 2 spray roses. Everybody got their spray roses in. Now we're putting in this. Now we're putting in this. It's a little step by step, but the point of doing it in this format is ensuring that you have a successful bouquet. We have to learn the fundamentals before we can sort of expand on them. And so as designers are working, they're going to end up with a successful product because we're doing it together and we're focusing on the layers and the terracing, and we're doing it again one stem at a time. So you are going to have a beautiful bouquet to be shot, and then you can build your own palette and you can kind of play and experiment. And I think that's another critical piece here that we're able to bring into this experience is that the play piece, right? Of learning what you just learned, and then you're going to immediately be able to apply it and make something else if you'd like. So I think there's going to be a ton of value in being able to capture that. And, we'll have the happy hour going while the photographer's shooting. So you can have a drink, pop over, get your shots. It's not a super over fussy thing that we're doing. It's casual, but we want to make sure that you get this beautiful imagery of what you've made.
Yes, yes. And you mentioned it a couple times already, kind of the happy hour piece of it. Mayesh and Patrick, if you guys know Patrick, our CEO, he's like a big networking kind of person. Like if he shows up, like that's his favorite part. He might disappear during the design pieces and stuff like that, but he loves that piece of it. So we try to make sure that any workshop that we've done and kind of any event, if you've gone to one, we always try to make sure that you guys are taken care of. So, we'll definitely have some drinks and food for you guys fries, Amy mentioned lunch, but we want to make sure that you guys have time to network, that you have time to kind of talk in a more informal setting instead of like that kind of more formal student teacher type of setting that you'll be in most of the day. So that should be good too. And I feel like that brings a lot of value because you just never know who's going to be there, and you never know those connections that you make, what's going to happen afterwards, which I think is super powerful.
Agreed. Fully agreed.
Mean, you and I met, I think, the very first time at our very first workshop in LA.
The dozens and dozens and dozens of connections I've made just by showing up at a floral event. And I can think it can be intimidating for people. They may not feel like they're maybe good enough, or maybe they feel like their competition will be there, or that florist is here, I don't like her, or him. These things can, sort of roll around in our heads. And I want to encourage you that if you feel that way, it's very normal to feel a little bit uncomfortable at a floral design workshop. I have been to many where it felt like mean girl vibes, or, I got sat in the back because I wasn't like one of the cool kids, or, I've had some pretty rough workshop experiences, felt really disappointed by the content, by maybe the value, but also just maybe felt like I was on the perimeter of like, the cool people. And this is an incredibly inclusive experience. We are all on equal ground in terms of working florists and wanting to do flowers. And I think that it's critical that I myself create an environment from a teaching standpoint where every student feels like it's a safe place for them to fumble around, to make some mistakes, to maybe struggle, break stems. That is part of the growing and learning process. And we can't get good at things until we're bad at them first. And so if you've struggled with bouquet making, or you feel a little bit maybe apprehensive about your color theory foundations, this is a safe environment for you to come and explore that in. Obviously, we can't control the behavior of other attendees, but what we can ensure is that we're cultivating an environment where it is safe for you to struggle a bit, to sort of work through some challenges, and to really reserve some time for yourself as a designer, as a leader in your business, or as somebody who freelances, or maybe even a flower farmer, whether you're retail or events. This applies to everyone who works with flowers. And to be able to take some time out, spend some dedicated, focused effort on building your skills. We're not looking to impress anybody. We're not trying to, sort of do this whole like ego thing. We're there to learn together, to grow our skills so that we can go home and do a better job in our work. And that's really the heart of not just my workshops, but really what I love about Mayesh, and about, the partnership has felt very natural for me, because I've been taken care of by Mayesh for years as a florist, and have been, really rescued. I keep using that word, but, we rely so heavily on our providers, on our farms and our growers and our wholesalers to do our work. We would have nothing to work with without their work and bringing this product to us. And so that relationship is so important. And you mentioned networking, Yvonne, but I think that's a critical part of attending live events, is that it can feel scary. It can feel intimidating. We're going to have a little mini icebreaker, but my hope is that you meet somebody who has the vases you need for that wedding that you booked that you don't have enough of, right? Or that somebody ends up freelancing for someone when their friend got sick, or that, these relationships can be vital. And it can just simply be because you sat next to somebody at a workshop, and you
Right.
happen to be in the same place. So I think that's also something that we certainly haven't talked a lot about, but it's just a critical part in building those local community touch points. Some of my closest friends, though, lived across the country that I met at a workshop, sending them DMs. I have this brutal client. What would you for mechanics on this? My hello board died again. What's your trick, right?
Right.
These are the things that can save us in tough moments in our business, is relying on that community that often is built in live events just like this one.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I just wanted to share a couple of comments and I have a
Yeah, oh,
question too.
please.
So Casey Floral says, love Amy. Her spiral
Oh,
technique teaching is a game changer. And that's one of the reasons why, we wanted to work with you as well, Amy, is just because I mean, we've obviously have done a lot of workshops. I've gone to a lot of events too on my own over the many years that I've been with Mayesh. And it's like the worst feeling when you like leave somewhere, and even if it's just a half hour, and you're like, I okay then, like I don't even know what I'm gonna do with that. Don't know what they were trying to say. And I've never ever felt like that with you. Like everything that comes out of your mouth is very well thought out, especially when you're talking about like teaching yourself. You have such a passion for it.
Mhm.
It's just very well thought out, very intentional, and so that way I feel like it's easy to implement, like, right? Like you want to leave somewhere and be like, okay, I want to learn something. I want to network. I want to have fun, right? Like I want to get out of my bubble. That's my thing. Like I want to get out of my bubble sometimes because, guys, I'm in a bubble. I'm in this office all day long, right? And it's really hard for me to like leave because my husband's in the same industry. But once in a while, I have to force myself, right? Like it's a whole family thing too, right? Like, hey guys, I need to do this. How do we figure this out, guys? Like it's my two girls and my husband, and we figure it out. And so I need to get out of that bubble. But like when I leave and I go and get out of the bubble, I want to like feel like, okay, like I can do something with all this information that I just learned. And so that's really important for us guys. It's not just to kind of say, hey, Mayesh is doing a design tour. Like I don't need that. Like that's not how we are. Like I don't need that in my life. Like it's really like, how can we offer something that's really going to be super valuable to the attendees and be able to like leave there and be like, okay, I can do this, I can implement this, this is what I learned, and this is what I want to do better. And we're not saying like what we're showcasing is like the end all be all, but you know I just think it's really important. So just wanted to throw that out there too, guys. Let's see. And then someone else said, honestly, the best money I've ever spent on a workshop for people that have gone to Amy's workshops before. And so that's very nice. And then someone also asked if you will be showing your amazing hand-tied cascade technique, Amy. That is a
Yeah,
question that we
so
got.
thank you for asking that because that's coming, right? That's back. So we have limited time in the workshop and it is packed full. So we don't have time for a second bouquet demonstration. I will be showing some fundamentals, just some stretching of some flowers out. Here's the basics of it, but there won't be a full cascade demo. If you're interested in a cascade, learning how to do that, it's inside of my course and there's a full lesson on it, what kind of stems you need to choose, what order to put them in, how to finish it, how to get that top really popped out. Because a lot of times in cascades, they can get really flat on top in a hand tie. How do you get that volume? It's a meaty topic. It's not a quick demo. And so we don't have the time to unpack it, but you are going to learn the fundamentals of the very first step of it, which is stem selection, clean stems, proper spiraling, and then you can sort of piece it together from there. But that's kind of an option, if you're looking to get started right away on how to learn that.
Yeah, very good. And then I know you were talking about kind of the, intimidation factor that people can feel, and about like, the clicks and stuff like
Oh yeah.
that. But someone was like, we are all the cool people. And
Exactly. We're
that's so true.
fun. We got the good stuff.
Yes, yes, I love
These are the
that.
cool people right here. This is the cool people.
Yes, yes, right? Um, Okay, so, as we mentioned, we're going to be visiting, I have 11, but it's 12, right? It's 12 cities. Um, 8, 9, 10, 11. No, 11.
I think
Sorry.
it's
I
11.
can't count anymore,
We
apparently.
have a lot going on.
Yeah, my brain is fried, guys. It's exciting stuff, but it's like, woo. Okay, so let me go through the lineup so that way you guys know, because I had a couple questions earlier in the show asking about, for example, Milwaukee, also Missouri. So we're not in those specific cities. But we are in cities across the country. So hopefully one will be close enough that you can either hop in your car or hop on a quick plane ride. And as I mentioned already, we're going to be hitting up Cleveland first on March 30th. In April, we have 2 cities. The 20th, we're gonna be in Phoenix, Arizona, and then the 25th, 5 days later, we'll be in Houston, Texas. Super excited about those. And then we're going to be in Portland on June 30th. So we're taking a little break in May because, there's that really big holiday that we all know is coming soon. um, and so, yeah, we'll take a little break in May. So in June, we'll be in Portland. And then in August, we're going to be hitting up Raleigh on the 15th. And then on the 18th, Charlotte, on the 22nd, Charleston. So it's bam, bam, bam. Raleigh, Charlotte, and Charleston all in August. Then we are going to our very new Mayesh Twin Cities and on October the 17th. So Twin Cities will be hitting up in Minneapolis. Then on the 20th, October 20th, it'll be Detroit. We'll be in LA on December 5th. And then December 7th, we are going to wrap everything up in Carlsbad, California, guys. So a lot of really great cities. We hope that this tour goes well and we'll see. And then hopefully we can maybe add some more in the future. So, yes.
So come visit us and see. And there's a couple of cities that are really starting to sell. We just launched all the tour dates, but I think Houston is, I want to say, a third of the way sold out already. I just looked at the tickets and it's either a quarter or a third of the way sold out already. We've seen
Phoenix was right around the same too.
And Cleveland only has 3 seats left. That's the soonest at the end of the month. So if you're in that region, make sure to come down and grab your seat and join us to kick off a good wedding season too, to get some good skills laid down. So we've got some good locations.
Yeah. Super, super excited, guys. Any other questions that you have before we wrap up? Amy, any other thoughts? I feel like you did a really great job kind of covering everything from A to Z. And I'm just really excited. I would love to be at some of these. We'll have to see as our schedules fill up. I'm hoping to pop into a couple of them. So we're really excited. Thank you, Kathy, for hanging with us today.
Absolutely.
And Kathy's saying that they need a wholesaler in Milwaukee. I hear you, girl. I get that comment a lot. Like, hey, can you come to this city? Can we do this? And yeah, we would love, but we're like opening up and it's been a lot. We had Raleigh, we have Charleston, we had Twin Cities. And before that was, I think, Atlanta. So we've been really, really busy, guys.
Yes. Well, and so Charleston, if you want to mention what we're doing in Charleston.
Yeah, Charleston has a grand opening. I'm going blank on the date. Do you remember the date?
This Thursday. It's in 2 days.
This Thursday, guys. So Amy is actually going to be there as part of the event. It's Thursday, March 9th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we have like a lineup of some really great people, including Amy, and I'll let her talk about what she's going to talk about. But you also have Tara from Soiree, which she's like, kind of famous, you guys. I actually got to meet her years ago and she does really cool events. And then Jose Javier from Green Rose Ecuador, one of our amazing rose growers, will be there on hand too to kind of do a session. There's going to be lots of food, raffles, beverages. It wouldn't be a Mayesh event without some beverages, adult beverages and regular beverages. And the food sounds amazing, by the way, because Manny's helping us in that area kind of plan everything out. So it sounds like a really great event. I hope if you guys are in the area that you definitely come down and join us. And Amy, what are you going to be talking about?
Yeah, so I actually just got off the phone with them right before this call. I was talking to them about the open house, and they have some really cool design presentations planned. focusing on sustainable mechanics, by the way. So there's going to be like a cool window box thing they're doing. Like they really have pulled together some very cool programs with a focus on sustainability. I'm going to be, I fly tomorrow to head there in the evening, and I'm going to be arriving the morning of the show, doing a little behind the scenes on some reels and stories, just shopping the cooler. So my hope is to kind of show, arriving and being able to pull something from what's there. I'm not ordering anything. It's kind of just a grab bag. And I'm going to show a couple of different color palettes that I've pulled just from what's available. Also focusing on just really keeping palettes simple, more affordable, but still being able to create something really dynamic straight out of a cooler. And then I'll be doing a bouquet demo. So how to take one of those palettes and sort of it's going to be a little bit of a preview, if you will, of our design tour workshop. So I'm really excited because I've never been to Charleston before, and I'm not going to be there a long time, but I've heard amazing things about this branch. Apparently it's gorgeous.
Yes.
People are so nice. And, it's not your typical kind of like grouchy wholesale experience. Not that you guys are like that. Man, it's just wonderful. But that exists in a lot of wholesale environments, and they're so lovely. And I'm really excited to go be a part of it, eat the amazing food and see the beautiful things there. And so, yeah, I hope you guys come out. I'll be speaking at 2:00. It's an open house, so people will kind of be meandering in and out with different programs throughout the day. You can come and stay for the whole thing, or you can just come for one or two programs. But yeah, come down and see us and hang out and look at some gorgeous flowers, eat some amazing food, hear about little bouquet demo and some color palette stuff. And so it's going to be really good.
I love it. I love it. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm actually right now, so I put in the link for the information for the Charleston grand opening. Very, very excited about that. I know eventually we're going to be doing a grand opening in Raleigh eventually, and I'm sure Twin Cities once they get their feet on the ground. So just again, lots of exciting stuff going on, guys. I put the link for Amy's. My Instagram is not working very well right now. I put the link for Amy's website. I'm also trying to put up her Instagram, but
it's just at the Floral Coach if you want to come on over.
Yeah, I have a challenge popping up. Yes, let me at. I can type that. I was just trying to copy paste and be lazy, but at the Flower Coach.
Meetings.
I love Instagram. Okay, so yeah, that's the gist, guys. Oh, and Allie put it in Instagram for me. Thank you, Allie.
Hi,
she always helps me out with the Instagram comments and all of that fun stuff. So this is, so many exciting things, Amy. I'm so excited to be doing this tour with you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And guys, again, go to the link. I've posted it a few times in the comments. Check out the details. If you have any questions, let us know. And hopefully we'll be seeing you at a workshop soon.
Come hang out with us. It's going to be an amazing year. Hope to see you there.
It will be. It will be. All right, guys, that's a wrap on today's Mornings with Mayesh. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today. Our next show is scheduled for April 4th with Sue McCleary, and we're going to talk about, I have it right next to me, her new book. Woohoo! It's called Flowers for All. It's a beautiful book. If you don't have a copy, you should definitely grab one. But if you want to hear more about the book and from the author herself, definitely come and join us on April 4th, guys. And with that, I will see you soon. Thank you. Bye guys.